Hey everybody, I'm Scott Hollingsworth with Vyral Marketing, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Harrelson Hangouts. Today we've got a great guest that's going to share how to consistently take 25 plus new listings per month. Greg, if you want to explain a little bit more about what we're going to be talking about and introduce everybody to our guest, we can do that right now.
Okay, good. Well, this is another top agent that I've been working with for quite a long time, Jan Pitman, and I'll ask her some questions so she can give you some information on, what level she is at her business right now. But Jan's a big time player in the business, and one of her strengths is taking listings. So what we're going to be discussing today is how to help her break through to the next level and consistently take 25 plus listings. Matter of fact, we were talking a couple days ago before we kind of sent that out as a headline, and really we're trying to discuss how to do 30 plus listings per month and do it consistently. So Jan, why don't we kind of share with them who you are and just a little bit about yourself. Tell how long have you been in real estate?
This is my 10th year in real estate.
Wow, 10 years. It's amazing. Like last week, I think I had, or not last week, last month may have been, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jill, it might have been somebody else, and it's just amazing how time flies, because you were a new licensee, I think, when we first met. So I didn't know we've been together for 10 years already.
Actually, we first met at a seminar, and then I became a new licensee.
Then you became a new licensee. Interesting.
So came next.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many deals did you do last year?
Last year I closed 97 sales.
Okay, 97. So did it sting that you didn't do triple digits?
It was really bad. Yeah. I had a hard time getting over it, but it was the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I understand, because when you're so close, it's just like something about hitting that 100 that it just means so much, even though it's you're pretty much doing 100 deals either way.
Right.
So you did 97 closings last year, and what are you on track for this year?
168.
168. Okay, and so how many listings did you take last month? So in March.
Okay, in March I took 25.
25 listings. Okay, good. So you hit that 25 number. What about the, if you can remember, January, February, where are you, I guess, total listings taken year to date?
67. So I got like 20 and 23, something like that, and then 25. So
so you're averaging 23 maybe, 22, 23?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So 25 doesn't seem to be that difficult to get you to. So that's reason why we'll talk about 30. So what is your overall 2015 goal? How many closings do you want to have in 2015?
So my closing goal for 2015 is 200.
200. Okay. And you're on track to do 168.
Correct.
Okay. Good. So we got a little bit of ground to make up. So there you go. This is who Jan is, and the rest of the conversation, of course, we will be talking about getting to that 30 listings per month consistently.
All right, and I just want to jump back in here real quick, let everybody know who's watching that we do have a Q&A app available. If you get into that and you have any questions for Janet or Greg during the Hangout, go ahead and submit them there, and we'll make sure that they get answered live on air.
Good, thanks, Scott. So let's just start with Jan describing to me what does your day look like, starting from the time that you leave the house and first thing in the morning, whatever time you leave the house. What does your day look like? Because one thing that I know is your work ethic is probably up there with the best of the best. I mean, it's definitely one of the best that I've seen. So, getting you, coaching you to work harder is not going to be my strategy in order to help you get to the next level. It's definitely going to be most likely working smarter.
Right.
So, kind of walk me through a typical day with you.
So, typically I get up at 4:30. I leave the house at 5 o'clock to go to the gym. So, what we call our morning ritual: go to the gym, shower at the gym, get to work by 7:45, and get on the phone by 8 o'clock. Get on the phones by 8 o'clock and begin prospecting. Typically prospect between, from 8 to 11. I would like to say I prospect from 8 to 11, but right now I'm probably only prospecting for about 2 hours from 8 to 10 because of other things that are, that are entering into the picture.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I'm doing my prospecting from 8 to 10, say, and from 10 to 11, I'm doing some, work on recruiting projects, different things like that, and then, typically leave the office 11:30, and then have a little lunch and do some appointments and follow up and also go to another office that I'm part of to help with some agents over there.
Yeah, right. You're coaching some of the agents at the at another office location that we're partners in. So right now your prospecting, your income generating activities.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like for taking new listings is from 8 to 10.
Correct.
Okay. So when you first started in the business, how's that you first started in the business?
So when I first started in the business, obviously I prospected from 8 to 11 hardcore, never ever stopped. It was on the phones, dialing for dollars for 3 hours straight, and then I would come back in the afternoon, do a little more prospecting, usually 2 nights a week and a Saturday or 2 a month.
Okay. So I'm just kind of curious, what happened to what occurred either in your business and your life that had you shrink it down now to just the 2 hours? So it was 3 hours in the morning.
Right.
You were obviously, and which I can validate, you were very focused on hitting those 3 hours, making those contacts, and then in the afternoon, if you didn't have anything to do, of course you were prospecting in the afternoon also. So you might have been averaging maybe 4 hours total per day. 20 hours for a week. So what has changed?
What has changed is the fact that I'm involved in some other things outside of my own business. I have, the recruiting that I'm doing for the company, and also some, helping some of the newer agents get their jump start as well. So a lot of what has changed is my helping other people to, get started in their business.
Okay, so some of the things that you've kind of taken on is helping me coach some agents and recruit to a company that you and I are partners in. So those things, that's some things that have occurred as you're developing from, in the beginning, you're a real estate agent. I mean, in the beginning, you're actually not a real estate agent, and the goal was to coach you to become a real estate agent.
Right.
Now you're a great real estate agent, and I'm working on coaching you to be an entrepreneur. Now the key is that as we're moving into becoming more of an entrepreneur, you're already an entrepreneur, but more into an entrepreneur a role for yourself and for the company. It's very important to not let go of the core, and I know that that you'll share that, and I think that's what we got to figure out today is how do you go to the next level without putting your core at risk? Because to get to 30, it's not likely that you'll continue to increase the number of listings taken at the same time that you decrease the amount of time that you're generating. Now, that could be a choice. You could actually choose to generate less and take less listings and either do less deals or be perfectly satisfied and at peace with the current level that you're at. That would in order to pursue some other opportunities. But it seems like to you that you're not satisfied with that.
That's what happened to me in 2014. It was my lowest production in 4 years. At that under 100, which I had hit so many times in so many years. So I identified immediately that I was extremely unhappy because I'm still a very competitive person, so I don't like that figure at all. I have to get up there. So this year I was determined to not only, better my business that I have done in the past, but, exceed all of that and just stop playing around and do the 200 deals that I know I can do.
Okay. So what do you see as your biggest challenge right now in doing 200 transactions?
Just being distracted by a lot of things that are going on around me. Probably prioritizing. I need to really, set my schedule and be more diligent in following it rather than allowing people to drag me away from it. Just remaining focused on my business and then, setting the time aside I need for other things that I'm doing.
Okay. So who is distracting you?
Other agents that I'm helping.
Okay, so let me ask it this way: who is distracting you?
Okay, I think that they're distracting me, but I guess what are you going to say? I'm distracting me? I'm,
Well, I'm just
allowing,
asking.
I'm allowing them to distract me.
Okay, so who is distracting you?
I don't know how to answer that with, I guess I'm distracted. I'm allowing myself to be distracted, so I'm distracting me.
Say that again.
I'm distracting me.
Okay, good. So anybody that sees this, that's not a game. I'm not playing a game with Jan. What I'm doing here, Jan, and I know that you'll agree with my method here because I know that you understand this. But whenever you're in the situation, or if I'm the one that's in the situation, coaching somebody to do something is easy.
Right.
But remembering that to actually apply your own coaching to yourself, sometimes we forget, right? And the key is here is I want you to really get present to the fact that you are in control of everything in your business. And if we continue, or if we allow ourselves to say that John Doe is distracting me, there's not a lot I can do to control John Doe. But when I say I'm the one that's distracting me, because you're saying your biggest challenge is distractions. Who's distracting you? I'm distracting myself. Now, when you accept responsibility for that you are the actual source of all distractions, then you can do something about it. So just stepping into that place and accepting that for a moment, now that you know that you're the only distraction that you have that's keeping you from reaching these goals, what is one thing that you can do to keep yourself from being distracted?
Just remain laser focused and be the leader. I mean, lead by example. So don't allow other people to come into the picture at all. Just totally tune them out, and I believe that they'll understand that I'm doing that as an example to them.
Yeah, definitely be an example. Be an example of your coaching, as well as be an example of somebody that's going to break through and do 200 plus deals. Well, another thought that that we've discussed in the past, and maybe it's time to be a little bit more aggressive at implementing it, is when it comes to, you said prioritizing
Right.
a few moments ago, and I'm sure that's prioritizing your schedule, prioritizing different activities and whatnot. So I think one thing that I suggest, and I'd love to get some feedback from you, in the next week after you've thought this through, is when are people going to be allowed to communicate with you? So I'm not going to say we're going to allow people to distract us, because if we set block time in our schedule for people to communicate with us, then that communication is no longer a distraction.
Right.
So we eliminate distractions by having some communication time set in the schedule. So as you're building your schedule in the future, I think what you have to do is you have to build in communication time. And you know what the key is you could build it in from 10:30 to 11, or you could build it in from 11 to 11:30, because the people that we were once claiming were distracting you are real estate agents. And what are those real estate agents supposed to be doing from 8 to 11?
Prospecting.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're doing at the same token is we're enabling other agents to not do what they're supposed to do by actually being there for them at the wrong time.
Right.
What we want you to do is be there at the right time, because guess what they're doing? They're using an excuse for they're not making their contacts because they have to go ask Jan a question.
Right.
Like, that's their distraction. Now, you're not distracting them. That's not what I'm saying. But the way that they're distracting themselves is whenever they feel like, oh, I'm getting kind of bored with this, making calls. Oh, let me go ask Jay a question about something that doesn't even it doesn't pertain to generating business. It might have something to do with something that they could have asked at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So my coaching to you of number one is, yes, I love it when you mention prioritize. But for the next month, let's actually test where you set a time, and it probably should be more than one time in a day,
right.
But it could be small bits of time, where you will allow people to communicate, and you'll answer their questions, and you'll give them coaching.
Okay.
And see what actually happens. Of course, it won't be between 8 and 11.
Right.
Okay. So what is your second biggest challenge? Or first of all, do you have any questions on that?
No, I think that's pretty clear. I mean, it's
Okay.
it makes a lot of sense to me, certainly. What's my next challenge? I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
distractions and the focus, prioritizing, and mindset.
Okay. So tell me about mindset.
Mindset a little. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty strong in all of the things that I do. But I always, you're always wondering. I'm thinking about these goals that I set and all that, and I believe I can make them. But then I say to myself, but am I really worthy of that? I mean, is that really something that's in the picture for me? So then my drunk monkey gets going and saying, why do you believe you can do that? I mean, I can't believe you can think that you can do 200 deals in the year. When in fact I know that I can. I put it on. I just know I can.
Yeah.
But that drunk monkey does always enter into it and kind of, that little niggling doubt that says, what are you trying to prove? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Well, and we all have that. I mean, I'm dealing with the same thing right now. Maybe it's a different goal that I'm dealing with it, where it's it's popping up in my life. But the key is this: is like, really, why the heck are you doing this? Because there's two things that you have to look at and you have to accept. Number one, you have to accept that you have to have clarity on why you're wanting to set a goal and to do more than 200 deals. The second thing that you have to accept, that if 200 deals is a big deal, then the drunk monkey is going to exist. So, in other words, stepping away from real estate for a minute. With whoever it was, I don't know if it was the Wright brothers, but I think there's somebody before the Wright brothers actually that decided that they were going to fly a plane, or that we could fly, right? I mean, who the hell thought that was real?
Right.
I mean, like that was unreasonable, right? So why were they so committed? There was something underlying that drove them. And I can assure you, when they were at the top of some hill about ready to jump off with this thing, they probably had some drunk monkey conversations going on as to whether or not they should have done that. Did we do this right? Am I worthy of this? Is this going to work? Who's to say I can do it? I mean, this other person failed at doing it. All of those things happen. So, I would say the first thing we have to do is, like, the fact that you've got the drunk monkey, the mindset is sometimes a challenge, is your indication that you're doing the right thing. In other words, if that didn't exist, I can assure you it would be because your goal was just to be doing 100 deals again. Because you can do 100 deals right now without probably freaking out from a mental standpoint. But to do 200 deals, now all of a sudden you're doing things that very few people do, and we're not. And you're doing it. We're not saying you don't have 10 people on your team that's helping you. You're actually taking these listings and you're making this happen. Okay, so you are doing something that's extraordinary, and anytime you're involved or even in pursuit of the extraordinary, your drunk monkey's going to want you to act ordinary. I'm going to repeat this. Anytime you are in pursuit of something extraordinary, your drunk monkey is going to try to pull you back into the ordinary. And the reason is this, and this would be classic, Matthew Ferry would, we spent a lot of time with Matthew on this, is because the drunk monkey is comfortable with ordinary. And so I think, again, just as a question to you, and I don't know that you'll come up with what you think is the perfect answer today, because this is something that develops. Right. But, like, what is your feeling? Like, if I say, so why are you, what is important to you about doing 200 deals? I mean, what is your first reaction to that today? And we know, again, as you explore this, this may change, but what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
For me, it's really it's a personal thing. I feel that I just want to show my children and my grandchildren that all things are possible. I was 50 years old when I got into real estate. And I got into real estate. We came to Myrtle Beach, didn't know Myrtle Beach, just got into real estate, and obviously came to the right company with the right training, and have taken off since then. But I just want them to know all things are possible. Don't put limits on yourself. I had a totally different background, had never done real estate before, was in retail in New York. Come here, don't know Myrtle Beach, get into real estate and take off. So I just want them to know that they can do anything that they want to do. Don't be afraid.
Got it. Got it. So what is one habit that you have? And let me tell you, I don't know that you'll need to think about that anymore, because that's pretty damn inspiring right there. And knowing you and knowing your love for your family, To me, I'm all in. I buy that one. I buy that answer 100%. You know, the question that I would ask you is this. Right now, your goal is to do 200. Fantastic goal. You're on pace to do 168. Shy of your goal, but definitely on pace to have your best year ever. Okay. If you were having to share, if your grandchild came up to you right now and asked this question, Grandma, why aren't you going to hit your 200 goal? Would you be embarrassed, or would you feel pain in answering that question honestly?
I would definitely feel pain in answering that question honestly. Because
Now,
I just there's no reason for me not to reach that goal. So I would be disappointed in myself, which I feel I'd be disappointing her as well.
absolutely. And we know that you don't matter. What matters is her.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, me and you don't matter. Our children matter. Our spouses, matter. You and I, we can come to work and just do our thing. But this is really not about you.
Right.
So I don't want to lose anybody that's going to hear this. So let me try to chime in here as to what I'm thinking. See, you said one of your biggest challenges was people distracting you, but we kind of worked with that, and the biggest challenge is really you're the distraction. If your grandchild was to ask you today why you were not going to reach your goal, and you answered honestly based on today, your answer would likely be because I'm a distraction.
Right.
So here's the connection. You need to make sure that whatever reason you hit your goal or you miss your goal, you're willing to look your grandchildren and daughter in the eyes and explain to them what happened. And if you're if you're on track, if right now that explanation would cause you pain, then there's your source. In my opinion, there's where you need to look for the source and the inspiration to say, no longer am I going to accept this. And you know what? You're not going to hurt any of the agents that are looking up to you. You are not going to hurt them by actually having a schedule for them to communicate to you. You're really going to help them. Your business is going to go to the next level, and so will theirs. Okay? Thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that obviously everything that you've said is 100% true, and right on point, and just kind of this call is almost like a little bit of a reality check for me right now,
Okay.
Very often, you have these little pity parties with yourself because you get to the end of the day and you say, I didn't do what I needed to do today because I allowed other people to distract me. Well, now I understand. I get it, because that's just me talking to me, justifying what I did. So right now, just accepting responsibility, the fact that I'm allowing that to happen and that I am the distraction, that just it just changes a lot, right? I mean, I already feel better, about what's just I need to take control back.
Yeah, exactly. And so and here's as you're talking, here's what I'm experiencing. By no means are you accepting that you did something wrong. It's not that you've done anything wrong. All we're doing is saying the language that I'm using takes my power away. But when I use this language, I get my power back.
Right.
If I'm saying Scott is distracting me, then I'm powerless. But if I say I'm distracting me, then I've got the power. And one thing we know about you is when you've got clarity and you've got the power on your side, you're going to hit every goal that you set, or you're going to have set it so damn high that you miss it, but even that'll be, wherever you miss it and land, we'll still be celebrating. So the key is I think that you and I are really in sync here, is, you're not wrong for being the distraction. It's just that the way that you were voicing it and the way that your drunk monkey was talking just took your power away. All we want you to do is access the power that you already have. We just want you to access it so you can leverage it. And then that is going to be the thing that's inspiring to others. Not only inspiring to other agents, but inspiring to your grandchildren and your children also. So good. So we're just looking to access power. Okay, so what else do you say now that you've got your time back?
Hmm.
You're the one that's in control. You now have the 3 hours, a full 3 hours to generate. By the way, that's a 33% increase in generation.
Right.
When you go from 2 hours to 3 hours, that's a 33% increase, and I know that you'll get a lot out of that. So what are you going to now fill that 1 hour of time with?
I'll definitely spend more time prospecting. That's the key to
Okay.
everything, right? So when I think about it, and I was in a meeting with you several weeks ago when you were coaching some new agents, and you said to them, if I could only get my top producers to do today what they did to get where they are, that would, think about the growth that they'd experience. So if I think about it, and I went back to doing my eight to my 3 hours of prospecting a day plus, right now I'm making 25 contacts a day. I was making 50 at that time. So just
Hmm.
if I go back to doing what I did when I started, I all of my problems will be solved because my skill level is so much better than it was then. My listings take,
Yeah.
everything is just very different. The systems I have in place are very different. So it would be so easy if I just went back to doing what I did. Getting back to basics is probably what I'm looking at.
Yeah. When I was coaching with Mike Ferry, there was something that I always noticed. Is there would be times where I'd get brand new real estate agents. They just had their license, and one of the things that at least my approach and what I felt, this was my opinion, what I felt that they most needed is they most needed to understand the fundamentals. They had to like set up build a nice strong foundation for lead generation. If we could get them to create some habits of generating, then we knew we could get them to a much bigger level than the average agent if they would start with building a generating foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I had is then I started getting clients in my coaching database, and they were higher profile clients. They were people that were already doing 100 plus 150 deals. Some of them already making $1 million a year in real estate. And then I started coaching them, and I realized that most of them that are in coaching that I experienced, they were all at a plateau. So they all leveled off. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, well, why are these people leveling off? Top producer after top producer, or why are they plateauing and not breaking through for years and years? And what I looked at is I said, wow, they are not doing what they used to do that actually got them to where they are. And if they would do what they used to do that got them to where they are, but they did it with the higher skill sets that they currently have, then they can then break through.
Right.
So it goes back down. I mean, you said it. I'm saying it differently,
Mm-hmm.
but you just said it, and I'm glad that you're coming up to this on your own because that just tells me it's in your mind. You got it. You know what to do. Now all you got to do is put it into action. You got to execute on this, and it won't take 50 contacts.
Mm-hmm.
For you going from 25 contacts today a day to 30 or even 32 or 33, just that small little bump right there, which you can do in that extra hour, will actually help you, experience a quantum leap because, again, you've got skill sets that you didn't have. So it won't take you as many contacts in order to get the business.
Mm-hmm.
So, there it is. So what is your contact goal going to be daily for the month of, let's just play the game for the month of April.
Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I have to increase my business by 20%. And if I'm making 25 contacts now, I have to make at least 30. But my goal will be 35.
Okay, so your goal will be the 35 contacts. And who are you calling right now? Like, what is some of the sources? What is your number one source for getting listings right now?
Number one is probably old leads, SLDs, my database, calling people that I've dealt with in the past. So past clients and centers of influence, that type of thing is probably number one.
Okay, yeah.
And then number two would be expireds and old expireds.
Okay,
So,
got it. Now, how far back are you going right now to call expireds? I mean, yeah, how old is old based on who you've looked up and who you're calling?
1 year. So we're
Okay,
going back
so
1 year right now.
Yeah, so I do suggest you go back an additional year.
Mm-hmm.
Go back an additional year. So it's 2015, so you're looking at 2014. So yeah, 2013 and 2012,
Okay.
those are gold mine for old expireds right now,
Okay.
because they're so far removed from the conversation
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of them have no idea that their property values have increased, and it's likely that, every market's different, but it's likely that what they were wanted in 2012 they can actually get today because inventory levels have shifted.
Okay.
So those conversations are obviously, you don't need to use an expired script on those, and I'm sure you know how to approach them, but it would be, hey, look, I noticed that your property was on the market at one time back in 2012. It didn't sell. Have you checked on the values to see if you could possibly get that price now?
Mm-hmm.
Just a simple question like that, and I'm sure we can think of a much better script than that. But the key is just a simple approach like that will uncover a lot of nuggets. And if you just did if that was the source of your extra 10 contacts a day,
Mm-hmm.
I can assure you you'll be over 30 listings a month consistently, and that's going to give you over 200 transactions. It's just you need that sudden burst of new listings in order to close 200
Right.
transactions this year, but that'll also start setting you up for 2016 to do much more than 250 transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So go old expires 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my suggestions.
Okay.
And then after expires, so you got past customers, centers of influence, you've got the database. So the database that we have, that we share in Infusionsoft, I think it's another thing to do would be to go into that database and pull everyone that has engaged with our content multiple times. You can, based on a score,
Right.
and then instead of cold calling,
Mm-hmm.
take the databases that we've been nurturing over the years and call them.
Okay.
So I would say that's warm call, because you're not going to have to sell yourself.
Right.
They're already sold on us. It's just a matter of making sure that we're in communication and asking them if they've thought about doing something, or if they have any friends or family members that's thinking about doing something. A lot of those people right now are thinking about upgrading.
Right.
So especially any buyers that you sold, and I think you're already getting some business from this, but any buyers that you sold 5 years ago, you have to be on the phone with them. Those past clients are critical because they're thinking about upgrading right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when they upgrade, you know what they do? That's 2 transactions. They they sell this one and then upgrade into another one.
Right.
So those contacts can be worth 2 transactions when you land one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Any questions, thoughts for me, Scott? Do you have any thoughts or questions that you want to share or ask?
Yeah, no, this is great. I love what you guys are going over. And I just want to say again that we have the Q&A app available for everybody that's watching. If you have any questions as a viewer for Jan or Greg, go ahead and submit them to that Q&A app, and we'll make sure that they get answered live on air.
Okay, Jan, last thoughts. What's one thing that I could help you with that I'm not currently helping you with right now?
I guess the only thing right now would be the accountability, of making my contacts. So we need to set up some kind of accountability for me to absolutely be focused on prospecting, generating for the 3 hours, and no commingling of activities.
Yes.
So maybe
Okay.
set up a little accountability.
So here's my thought. Instead of setting an accountability on contacts, how about an accountability on your schedule?
Okay.
So when I'm in the office and I see it's 10:45 and that person says, Jan, you got a minute?
Yeah.
And you say yes, then there's where you're out of your accountability. So why don't we structure that? So what that's going to entail is go ahead and build a schedule, that will consist of blocks of time where people can communicate with you, where you're open, and then communicate that schedule to everybody, and then let's set up an accountability to that.
Okay.
And it'll be us a grading system. If anything, the simple way to do this would be, once you set the schedule, setting the schedule is one thing. The key is going to be communicating it to the others. That's really, and getting them to buy into it. It's like, this is my schedule. This is why I'm doing it. This is the benefit to you. This is the benefit to me. Will you support me on this? There's pretty much your script, right? Then they're all going to say, yes, I'll support you on this. Then at that point, at the end of the day, every day, you should just turn in a little, a little sheet of paper, scratch paper. Did you follow your schedule? And I'm not really concerned about scheduling outside of the conversation of distraction. I'm not trying to hold you accountable to, did you go on a listing appointment this time? Did you do this or did you do that? I'm only referring to, you set times for people to communicate. Did you follow that schedule? It's either a yes or a no, and then we'll set up some sort of accountability on that. Fair enough?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. I just don't think we need to complicate this. That's the one thing that I think, if we'll shift this month, I think you'll see a major. I think it'll be even. You'll feel better about your business too, because your communication with others will be. Sometimes, like even for me, if somebody says, "Do you have a minute?" and I'm right in the middle of something, and I say yes, then a lot of times I'm like painfully listening to them, which I'm sure that they can feel, right? So, one of the things that will also occur is, because you'll be so deliberate in the way you're communicating with others, what they will experience from your communication will be a lot more positive also. So they'll get way more out of it.
Okay, great.
All right, so
okay,
we have a question from the audience here for you, Jan. And Bobby Taylor wants to know, did you work up to 50 contacts ever, or did you just start doing that? And I know that we've touched on that a little bit, that you've done it in the past, so why don't you talk about the commitment that it takes to make those 50 contacts? What time commitment, and some of the strategies that you're doing to hit those 50 contacts when you work?
Right. So probably the first 5 years that I was in real estate, I made a minimum of 50 contacts a day, and that would be getting on the phones at 8 o'clock in the morning and dialing, like no breaks for anything other than maybe potty time, just 8 to 11 constantly. If you do 8 to 11, 3 hours of real prospecting, you should have no problem getting to 50 contacts if you're cold calling and doing things like that.
Great.
I think also, Jan, what type of commitment? So you're speaking on a commitment of in looking at from a time standpoint. But my question, a follow-up question to this person's question is, what were you committed to for when it comes in terms of growing your business? Like that's a very boring thing. We talk about repetitious boredom. Right. And if anyone, you're such a machine. So I'd imagine to me, when you put your mind on it, you just do it. So if anyone's going to get bored, it's going to be you. So what commitments did you have, or what kept you mentally in the game to do this for your first 5 years? I mean, there had to be something out there that you said, okay, I want this so bad that I'm willing to do this. Thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I looked around at other, obviously I'm a very competitive person. It's very easy to see what other people are doing, and I wanted to be the best of the best. So in order to be the best of the best, you have to have a very high commitment level. And I just knew that would, that doing what I did, being that robot every day, just doing, the 3 hours of prospecting and nighttime and all of that, my commitment was to myself that I was going to be the best realtor in this town. That nobody was going to beat me. So that's, it's just really, I wanted to be the best. Failure was not an option for me. It's never been an option for me. I always want to be, when I tackle something, I have to do it head on, and I have to be, committed to the outcome being very successful for myself and my family.
Right. So one other thought here is this. So you've got this competitive nature where you just want to be the best. But in order to continue to make these contacts day in and day out, you had to believe there was a correlation between what you did daily and what would occur in the future. But you would have never known if you are right until after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone listening, I think it's critical that she had blind faith in our system that if she did this daily,
Mm-hmm.
then she would end up at this place. But she would never be able to prove if that was right until after the fact. That's where blind faith came in.
The other thing
You
I'll add,
trusted the system.
right, I definitely trusted the system, but I also have to say that it's not just about the money or the numbers for me, it's about helping people. So I think I feel like I'm very successful in real estate because I believe that there's nobody that can help somebody better than I can. So if I let somebody else come in and take that listing, I don't feel that client's being served at a high level. So in my mind, if I'm all about giving, I'm a giver, that's just my nature. So I have to be able to, take care of these people because I know nobody's going to do it better. So in my mind, it's really not just about the numbers, it's about helping people.
Yeah, good. I just before we close, that the right behind you, there's that poster, and it says, what does that say? Your income is a direct reflection of your effort, right? I think that's something Mike Ferry said at one time.
Right.
Good. So I just wanted to kind of just share that,
Right.
because I feel like the effort that you put in, puts you in the spot that you're at right now. Now, my final thought is this. The effort that you have to put in from this point on is going to be much more painful than the effort that you put in the past. And let me tell you why. Because the effort that you're going to have to put forth now, Jan, is eliminating yourself from being your own distraction. And it's much easier to just pick up the phone and make a bunch of contacts than it is to go deep into this mental journey and being able to accept that you're not a victim, you're the victor, you're the cause. It's not happening to you, you're making it happen, and if you will accept all that, which I know you will, that's where your breakthrough is going to come from. Okay?
Okay.
Well, good, Scott. I think we got it good. We've got a little bit of homework that her and I are going to work on, and I can assure you we're gonna make this work.
Yeah, it's been great, Jan. Thank you so much for being on. And Greg, real quick before we close it out, I've got a question for you from the audience. So one of the things that we've talked about today is holding yourself accountable for what you're doing. So one of the main ways, or one of the main things that you have to know to do that is you have to meticulously track all of the numbers that you're doing. So Ben Eisenberg wants to know what's the best software to track your business. He's looking for something to track and measure everything: listing appointments, listing contracts, closings per month, GCI, projected income per month, and net income per month.
That's a great question, and there's not a lot. I mean, if you're in a few of the coaching programs, some of the coaches actually have these, these numbers analyzers inside of their programs, but right now there's really not that I know of, there's not an off-the-shelf, in the box type of dashboard that we can go to that has all that information. So, two things. Number one, I've got a CFO, and all of my agents in the company, they all have to give their numbers to a staff member. All of those numbers are really going into a spreadsheet that he built, so it's an application that he built custom to track all those things. That's what we're doing, but you're right, you have to track everything, and every Tuesday I have every single number on every single real estate agent in my operation, and I have every number. I have every number with the company, so I know if an agent's trending up, if an agent's trending down, and then I can go to them and talk to them about what they need to do based on what I'm seeing. So very observant for whoever asked this question. I wish I could give you information on where you can go. I will do this. I will say this. It probably won't be too long before the application that we're using, that my CFO built, is actually going to be available for some real estate agents. I get this question all the time. What do you use for tracking? So we've had to build it ourselves. Okay.
All right.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate everyone's time, and in a beginning of May we'll have another one, and we'll just keep these things rolling. If anyone ever has any questions for me, feel free to email me direct at gregharrelson@gmail. And if anybody has any referrals down in the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area, Jan, what's your email address so they could email you if they want to send you a referral?
It's C21janpitman@gmail.com.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for watching, and join us next month. Thank you, Jan and Greg, for being on this Hangout.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to know which ones